Good morning. Second ride on the Rocket 3. So we're just gonna take it out and get used to it here. And then I want to talk a little bit about why this bike is such an important piece of motorcycling and the history of it, how it came about. This GT version has more swept back bars, so you're in a more upright seating position, and it has forward controls. The R has mid controls, so most of you watching this already know all that. And this is the Madstad aftermarket touring windscreen that came with it. I adjusted a little bit, it's doing a good job. Functional wise it works, I'm just not crazy about the look, so maybe making a change there. And we do have our Garmin Zumo XT GPS. Holy cow, look at all these vultures eating a deer. Oof. So for today's ride, literally second ride, just want to get used to the instrumentation, do a little walk around. One thing that's awesome about this bike is everything is internally wired in the bars, so there's minimal exposure of anything. It's super clean. We have our TFT, which is adjustable depending on sun glare, which is nice. These bar end mirrors are fantastic. And we're just ripping along in third gear here. Just want to get used to how the bike feels. So what do you all think about the Rocket 3 GT? So this bike developed its first iteration in 2005. So we are on our 20th year of the Rocket 3. However, up until 2018, that version to me was a little clumsy looking. It wasn't as sleek. This version, the redesign in 2018, is when I really caught interest in the Rocket 3. And like I said previously, I went to the Best of the British tour. I'll show you a little clip of that video.
And you just heard the bike that I came to see most, the 2020 Triumph Rocket 3.
What she looks like, all right? Everything's controlled down here with your joystick. I'm doing this upside down, so bear with me, all right? You're gonna press it in to get your options right here to come up. Your odometer, we're going down right now. We're gonna go left. So now, no calls. You have Bluetooth connectivity, all right? It's an add-on option. It comes wired up, loaded for that. It's a little modular about this big, around $400 installed. It's gonna connect your dash, your phone, and your headset. And you get to control it right through here on your joystick. Boom, display. So no calls. Messages, text messages come up on here.
That's crazy.
So when he's out for a long time, I shouldn't say this out loud, he can be like, where are you? And he can ping you, all right?
Walked around, saw all the fit and finish, the look, the athletic stance. It's aggressive, yet really comfortable. So I started thinking about it then. And here we are, 6 years later, riding a rocket. We're also using a new camera, the DJI Osmo 5, and wireless Mike Mini. So it's early in the morning. So if you're up for some Rocket 3 content, bike enthusiasts, join along and stay so you can learn the bike with me. If you were here for the Goldwing content and you leave, I get it. But I am going to do a lot of comparisons to how this bike is like the Goldwing, starting with the wheelbase. They are both a little over 66 inches in wheelbase. Now, like the Goldwing, I'm curious to see if this handles as well, because I was floored at the response and the handling of the Goldwing with such a long wheelbase. But it was engineered so well that it made it easy. And from what I hear, I can expect the same on this, and I'm going to find out. Because these forks have a 32-degree rake, and the headstock is a 28-degree rake. So just from an engineering standpoint, the geometry of that setup allows for that aggressive stance look, but with the headstock at 28 degrees, it does allow for more of a Triumph Speed Triple-like handling. I didn't say exactly like, so don't butcher me in the comments. I said Triumph. Let's see how we do in the roundabout. Pretty nice. Look at that, right in. Triumph Speed Triple-like. What does that mean? It's a little easier to throw around in the corners. The suspension on this is all adjustable manually, rebound, compression, dampening, for steering, everything. It's all. So the suspension is adjustable, rebound and compression. It has a monoshock adjustment under the seat, all very simple. And from the factory, these are usually set up stock for like a 170-pound individual. But personally, I like the stiffer suspension, sportier ride. So far, how it is pretty good. And this hydraulic assist clutch, man, is it easy. Easy peasy easy. Now, other people say that this bike is very heavy. Comes in a little over 700 pounds wet. I find it well balanced. The tank is ginormous, but doesn't hold that much gas, 4.8 gallons, so don't be fooled by the size. But it just gives that substantial footprint. And it does feel like a locomotive, yet like a bullet train locomotive. Light, nimble, and so far so good. Slow speed maneuvers, red lights, I felt good so far. Parking lots, we'll find out, U-turns, all that as we get comfortable. But, red lights, this is 29.3 inch seat height. I am flat footing this thing easy at 32-inch inseam. So, gas mileage, don't ask me about that because we're never going to do well. Some people say if you ride this conservatively, it's a rocket, why would you do that? You probably get like 160, 170 out of a tank. I'm expecting 120, 130, maybe 140, which is fine because I didn't buy it for gas mileage. So let's keep riding around and see how El Rocket feels. So here is the Rocket 3. The GT. I mean, just look at it. So look at the big tank. You got that brushed aluminum in the center, big fuel cap, and they designed it that the oil filler cap and then the radiator cap all matches. And if you look here at the forks, you have the 28-degree angle of the fork and the headstock. I'm sorry, this is 32 degrees and the headstock is 28 degrees. So it gives you this aggressive stance and look with a Triumph Speed Triple-like handling. So the geometry and the engineering of this bike is awesome. And I mean, look at the engine. So you have 800 cc's per cylinder, 1, 2, 3. And then you have this hydroformed exhaust. Look at that. I mean, just artwork. Looks so good. And with the GT, these are where the bags go. These just easily store up, look like part of the bike, the mounting brackets. And then the rear tire, as I said, look at that. 240. And the front is the 150 with the classic headlights of the Triumph. It's such a great machine. So if we look at the video from the Triumph engineer who made this bike, Stuart Wood, he can explain how under the tank, the spine of the frame is hollow to help with the airflow. So let's look at the Triumph footage, courtesy of Triumph Motorcycle, and look at the cutaway of just how this machine functions.
So this is the cutaway, which is a really good opportunity to see what's inside a rocket, but also see how all the parts work together. Now, when we're designing a bike, everything's integrated. We're trying to make components do more than one job if at all possible. So a good example of this is the frame. We've got a cast hollow spine frame. The air for the engine is taken in through vents both sides, through the center of the spine, through an air filter, through 3 intake pipes into another plenum, and then through the 3 throttle bodies directly into the cylinder head. That's where you make power. Pistons push the conrods, which rotate the crankshaft. Now the crankshaft is geared directly to the clutch. The clutch is at the front of the engine. Now from this point on, all the power flows to the back wheel. So we've got the clutch attached to the input shaft of the engine. The input shaft attaches to the output shaft, full helical gearbox, through a cush drive, a hooks joint, through a prop shaft, and to a bevel box at the back, and that drives the back wheel. Okay, so that's how you get all that torque to the rear wheel.
So, many of you know, stock out of the box, 165 horsepower, 163 foot-pound of torque. And what's really cool, so you saw the exhaust on the other side, but underneath you have the third exhaust just sneaking right out. So cleverly designed. And shaft drive. I mean, even look at all the details, the aluminum billet and the little knurling they put in there, that detail. I mean, just phenomenal. And the beefy Brembo brakes. These have the Avon Cobra tires, so, and then all the suspension, obviously here, you see, manually adjustable, each side, and under the fork, we have an adjustable suspension here, under the seat rather, and then under the seat is also a little storage cubby with a USB port for charging any devices. So, look at the little design and the knurling. Look at that. Just fit and finish, phenomenal. This also has heated grips. So, in order to start this bike, you have to do one up here, turns this on, says good morning rider. See, 1,232 miles. And then one down for the fuel pump, and then one to start it while holding the clutch. So, pretty awesome. So let's get on, take a ride, and see how this Rocket 3 GT does as we get to learn it along the way. One down for the fuel pump. Clutch in. Start a Rooney. So cruise control, heated grips, turn signals. And then we have our modes for rain, road, sport, and rider configurable, which we'll get into all that. You can change the display, the colors, the readout. There's a lot to get into yet. This is just first impressions of, you know, the second ride and getting to learn the bike, and then you toggle everything with this joystick. So as we go, we'll get more in depth on that stuff. Let's see how this does here. A little slower speed. Now this, coming off the Goldwing, surprisingly, the wheelbase on this and the Goldwing are very similar, both 66 inches and change. So, you know, the marvel of the Goldwing is that it handled so well with a long wheelbase. And because of the geometry and rake that we discussed here, and the long wheelbase, this is supposed to have very good handling. So we're going to learn and see if it's there with the Goldwing or not. I hear it is, so curious to see on that aspect. The Goldwing has a 200 rear, and this has the 240 rear. So all of the components speak to not being able to handle well, but because of the mass minds of engineering at Triumph, they've done away with that. So we shall see and learn as we go. Now, is it going to handle like a Ducati Panigale? Absolutely not. But for the amount of power, the substantialness of this bike, the torque, it's gonna handle way better than any cruiser feels. And that's what I'm here to find out. So let's shut that visor. So here we are, it's just third gear, cruising along. Got a feeling a lot of back roads are going to be third gear. It's kind of where this bike's comfortable when you're just cruising, so to speak. But I mean, if we just hang back a second, let's go down to second. Right. All right, second gear, right? Wow. Yeah, I can't wait to get this up to Blood Mountain. This is where I try all the bikes because it has awesome sweepers, a lot of technical switchbacks. And if you're going to find out how a bike handles, that's where you're going to do it. So let's just go this way. You know, today is just sporting around some local roads that have a little bit of everything, just to get the feel of this bike and to learn it and to share it with you guys. So far, very surprised at how easy it is to ride. Very surprised at how fast it gets up to speed, like with a flick of a wrist. I mean, it's just incredible. So you got to be mindful of that for sure. Suspension has been good for the way I like it set up. Comfortable, all of it. You know, the wind protection, is it as good as a Goldwing? Absolutely not. Not to be expected. This is it's a GT, which stands for Grand Touring, but it's more of a muscle cruiser too, so it's a little bit of a tweener. Now, if you're a football fan, American football, this is a mix between an athletic linebacker and a finesse wide receiver. Can do a little bit of everything. So, power, speed, aesthetics. Oh, yeah, see, this is pretty bumpy. It's doing all right. And like I said, these brakes, to stop a locomotive, you have some good, powerful brakes, and boy, they have those. Now, the seat height on this is 29.3 inches. I have a 32-inch inseam, so easy peasy, flat foot. Seat, comfortable, lumbar support, keeps you cupped and you're sitting in the bike, which is nice. See, rear tire pressure just came up. Oh, I hope I didn't pick up a nail on that 240 rear tire. Unfortunately, on the first ride, I picked up a nail. One ride. 900 miles on this tire, and now I got to get a new one.